WrestleMania 7 was definitely a letdown after WrestleMania 6, but this was still a fun show. Hulk Hogan versus Sergeant Slaughter was painfully predictable, and as a fan, I was way less interested in this one. If it was up to me, I would have done Hulk Hogan versus Ultimate Warrior, the rematch. But of course, they had to move this thing from the Coliseum indoors due to the poor ticket sales and, the nature of the angle they were doing with Hulk Hogan and Sergeant Slaughter. Hogan winning the title in the main event, I still thought was a good match. Slaughter knows how to bump, and those two had a fun one. It was cool to see all the blood in that match, and of course, with Hogan winning and tearing up the Iraq flag and winning the championship to close the show, it's kind of typical for WrestleMania, and I think that whole ordeal was very, very predictable, and if Vince McMahon really wanted to pack out 100,000 people, I think he would have had a chance to come close to that if he would have done the Hulk Hogan versus Ultimate Warrior rematch, but it never came to be. We got Hogan and Slaughter instead. The Undertaker's famous WrestleMania streak began on this show at WrestleMania 7 when he defeated Jimmy Superfly Snuka. Jake the Snake Roberts and Rick Martel had a really fun and hilarious blindfold match. I remember watching this in my living room with my family and my mom getting a huge kick out of these guys running into each other and elbow dropping, nobody on the mat. It was a lot of fun, and the blindfold match definitely sticks out. So does the Hart Foundation dropping the tag team titles to the Nasty Boys. It was a very sad day for me because I loved the Hart Foundation, my favorite tag team of all time. But had I known the reason they dropped the titles is so Brett could go on to win singles gold at SummerSlam, I would have taken it a lot better. And in probably my fondest and my worst memory of WrestleMania 7 was the Randy Savage versus Ultimate Warrior career match, where the Ultimate Warrior defeats Randy Savage after taking 5 Randy Savage elbow drops and then still kicking out. And then he winds up pinning Randy Savage with a boot on his chest, ending Randy Savage's career in a ridiculous finish to a ridiculous match. And Ultimate Warrior, just a few months later, he would be the one to leave, and then they would have to reinstate Randy Savage. So I bet you Vince and WWE wishes they could have that one back and do that situation completely different. But it landed on its feet in the end when Savage lost and Sherry loses her mind and starts kicking his ass. Elizabeth, who was spotted in the crowd before the match, hops the barricade, runs into the ring, disposes of Sherry, and her and Savage have just an amazing, tearful reunion. You've got audience members just crying. Everybody in the living room at my house was definitely reacting to this. It was one of my fondest memories in pro wrestling, seeing Savage and Liz come back together. Emotional stuff.